A few things to remember about Spanish pronunciation. The beautiful thing about Spanish pronunciation is that it is generally straightforward. Unlike English, words in Spanish are mostly pronounced exactly as they are spelled. However, the individual letters or letter combinations are pronounced differently from English. Let's take a look at Spanish vowels. A is always pronounced A as in car. E is always pronounced as in bed or red. I is always pronounced E as in tree or sea. O is always pronounced O as in go. U is always pronounced O as in moon. Spanish vowels have consistent pronunciation regardless of their position in a word, unlike in English where vowel sounds can vary. Now let's take a look at consonants. B is pronounced B as in boat. Between vowels it becomes softer, resembling a mix of B and V, known as the soft B or fricative B. Example, saber, which means to know. The pronunciation of B and V can be very similar in many Spanish dialects, often indistinguishable. For example, the words vaca for luggage rack and vaca for cow sound almost identical, so context is key to understanding which word is being used. C before A, O, or U is pronounced like a K as in cat. For example, casa for house, corte for court, cuna for crib. Before E or I, it is pronounced like the soft S in cell in most of Latin America. For example, cielo for sky and cerca for near. In Spain, particularly in Castilian Spanish, this C sound is closer to the TH in thin. The C-C combination produces the sound kes when followed by E or I. For example, acceso for access. CH is pronounced like the che in cheese. For example, chocolate for chocolate. D is pronounced like in dog. Between vowels or at the end of a word, it becomes softer, somewhat like the TH in the, known as the fricative D. For example, nada for nothing. G before A, O, or U is hard, like the G in go. For example, gato. Before E or I, it is pronounced like the H in hat. For example, girar for rotate. In some regions, such as parts of Spain, this sound can be softer or more guttural. H is always silent, for example, hola for hello. J is usually pronounced as a strong H sound, like the H in hot or hat, for example, juego for game. L is pronounced like the L in love. The pronunciation of LL varies by region. In many regions, it's pronounced like the Y in U, for example, lluvia for rain. The letter Nye, which is N with a tilde on top, is pronounced nye as in canyon, for example, mañana for morning. R is strongly trilled, rolled at the beginning of a word, for example, rojo for red. It is slightly trilled in the middle or end of a word, as in perro for butt. If it is a double R, it is always strongly trilled, as in perro for dog. Mastering the distinction between the single R and double R is essential for clear communication, as it can change the meaning of a word entirely. T is pronounced more softly than in English, closer to the TT in butter. The tongue touches the teeth, making it softer, for example, tomar for take. Y as a consonant is pronounced like the Y in yes. As a standalone word meaning and, it is pronounced E. In most regions, the letter Z is pronounced like the S in C. For example, zapato for shoe. In Spain, particularly in Castilian Spanish, it is pronounced like the TH in thin. The letter combination QUE is pronounced K, for example, K for what or that. The letter combination QUI is pronounced ki, for example, quien for who. The letter combination GUE is pronounced ge, for example, guerra for war. The letter combination GUI is pronounced gi, for example, guitarra for guitar. With these guidelines, you're well on your way to mastering Spanish pronunciation. Keep practicing, and don't be afraid to listen to native speakers for the nuances in different regions. Enjoy your language learning journey.